right? And if you told a joke and it bombed, you just stood there like a dummy.
Milton Berle was the very first big star of television. Back in the late 1940s, he was everywhere. People called him Uncle Milty, and on Tuesday nights, almost everyone in America would stop what they were doing just to watch his show. Stores sold out of TVs because of him, crime rates dropped during his airtime, and families gathered around their screens to laugh at his wild costumes and jokes. But behind all that fame was a complicated and sad story. Milton's childhood wasn't like most kids. His mom, Sarah, was a stage mother who pushed him hard to be a star. She gave up her own life and even changed her name to match his. She was always in the audience, laughing loudly to help him win over the crowd. She even risked getting arrested by pushing him on stage without permission just to get him noticed. Because of her, Milton's childhood disappeared almost before it began. Instead of playing with other kids, he was acting in silent movies and performing in vaudeville shows. By the time he was a teenager, he had already been in over 50 silent films and was supporting his family because his dad was sick. The pressure on Milton was huge. He grew up fast in a world full of adult jokes and late nights. When he was just 12, he had experiences that no kid should have had, and it affected how he saw relationships for the rest of his life. His mom didn't just control his career, she controlled his love life too. If he saw a girl more than 3 times, she would find a way to break it up. This made it really hard for Milton to form real connections with people. He tried to prove he wasn't just a mama's boy by chasing women, but he could never escape needing his mom's approval. Milton's school life was also unusual. He went to a special school for kids in show business, but it was more about helping them keep working than giving them a normal education. He grew up surrounded by other child stars, living in a bubble of competition and fame. Instead of playgrounds, he had applause. And there was another side to Milton. He was known for stealing jokes. In vaudeville, jokes were like gold, and Milton took a lot of material from others. People even called him the thief of bad gags. But instead of hurting his career, it made him more famous. By the late 1920s, Milton was a top performer in New York, doing 6 shows a day and starring in big theaters. His mother's push and his own talent made him one of the most famous comics of his time. When television started to grow, Milton was ready. In 1948, NBC launched Texaco Star Theater with Milton as the host. The show was a mix of comedy, music, and live commercials, and it was a huge hit. People loved his slapstick humor and crazy costumes. His drag performances were especially popular, even though cross-dressing was illegal in many places back then. Milton made drag comedy part of mainstream entertainment long before it was widely accepted. At the height of his fame, Milton's show was watched by 80% of TV owners. That's a number almost impossible to imagine today. His success helped sell millions of TVs and made television a central part of American life. People called it the Berle effect, because stores would run out of TVs after his show aired. He wasn't just a comedian, he was a national event. Families planned their week around his show, and his nickname Uncle Milty made him feel like part of the family. But Milton's personal life was far from perfect. His first marriage to Joyce Matthews was troubled, mostly because of his mother's interference. They divorced, remarried, and divorced again. After their second split, Joyce tried to take her own life, which shocked everyone and hurt Milton's public image. His mother's control didn't just ruin his marriages, it also made him chase after women endlessly to prove he was a man. He claimed to have had affairs with famous stars like Marilyn Monroe, but some of those stories were disputed. Later, Milton married Ruth Cosgrove, a publicist, and this marriage lasted much longer, 36 years until her death. But even then, the emotional scars from his childhood and his mother's control never fully healed. Milton struggled to form real bonds and always needed attention from women. He and Ruth adopted a child, but his relationship with his family remained complicated. There was also a secret Milton kept for decades. Around 1951, he fathered a son named Bob Williams with a showgirl. Bob grew up not knowing Milton was his father. Milton kept this hidden, saying it was out of respect for Bob's mother. But when the truth came out years later, it added more chaos to Milton's already complicated life. As television grew, Milton's style didn't always fit the changing audience. By the mid-1950s, his fast-paced, city-style humor didn't connect with viewers in rural America. Shows like I Love Lucy and The Honeymooners with their warm family stories became more popular. Milton's ratings dropped, and his show was cancelled. NBC tried to keep him on with other shows, but nothing worked. His overexposure made people tired of him, and he became the first TV star to suffer from burnout. One of the lowest points in Milton's career came in 1979 when he hosted Saturday Night Live. His jokes were outdated and offensive, and the audience was shocked. The cast and crew were uncomfortable, and the show became a disaster. Milton even arranged for friends and family to give him a standing ovation, but the rest of the crowd stayed silent. This moment showed how out of touch he had become. He was banned from hosting the show again, a rare and humiliating fate. In his later years, Milton was mostly forgotten by the industry. He appeared at charity events where younger comedians would make fun of him, and he tried to steal the spotlight but only looked desperate. In 2001, he was diagnosed with colon cancer. Doctors said it was slow-growing and wouldn't cause serious problems for years, but Milton refused surgery. He thought the pain and recovery weren't worth it at his age. Sadly, the cancer took his life less than a year later, in 2002. The man who once had 80% of America watching him on TV died quietly, without the applause and attention he had always craved. His funeral was small, and the entertainment world barely noticed. His death was overshadowed by the passing of other Hollywood legends on the same day. Milton Berle's story is a mix of incredible success and deep sadness. He helped build television into what it is today and made millions laugh. But his life also shows the cost of fame, the lost childhood, broken relationships, and the loneliness that can come when the spotlight fades. Even though he was forgotten by many, his impact on entertainment is still felt. His life reminds us that behind every star is a real person, with struggles and pain that the audience never sees.